Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. We are looking forward to a hectic weekend of Scottish Cup fixtures in the company of, as ever, Alan Ruff, Tam McManus, and I'm delighted to say Richard Foster joins us. Not the best of circumstances for Richard to join us. He should be 100% fit, but there's a wee niggling injury at the moment that's keeping you sidetracked.
It certainly is. Tore my calf 10 days ago. So they reckon I'll be about 4 to 6 weeks, but I'm progressing quite well, but not well enough to be fit and available for tomorrow, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted you're in the studio because you make Tam feel at home. It's the hoodie boys as ever, Tam. It's always there's that middle age where we start to wear a certain kind of gear.
And Che Guevara.
Yeah, and you two look as if you're ready to break into houses. But nevertheless, I'm delighted that Richard could join us. We'll talk Thistle. I don't want to get Ruffy started on it because he bores the back end and me and Tam about your hopes for getting into the top flight. So we'll discuss that as well as the Scottish Cup fixtures. And there's lots to look forward to. A couple of games on the Sunday as well as the English Premier League. So football is what we're going to be talking all the way through, and we'll be reading out some of your opinions. If you've got anything you'd like to say about some of the stories breaking today, or indeed your team's chances, if they're still in the Cup, of going all the way to Hampden. And with that in mind, as far as the fixtures are concerned, here's how it looks over Saturday and Sunday. You've got Hearts against Livingston, Motherwell against Aberdeen. There's the one we're talking about. Partick Thistle against Dundee United. St Mirren, Kelty Hearts, Annan against Rangers, Arbroath, Hibernian, and it's Celtic, Wraith Rovers and Peterhead against Dundee. That's on the Monday, the Peterhead-Dundee game. So lots to get our teeth into, so we'll cut to the chase right away. Of course, I think the overall favourites, Ruffy, at the moment with the bookies are Celtic to win the Scottish Cup.
Well, I think the form they're in, you can see why, but I think everybody in any kind of draw would want to stay at the road of Rangers and Celtic because 9 times out of 10 they are in the final. So, I think the teams that are drawn against them will go into their games and try and take something out of it for the rest of the season.
Yep, Celtic against Wraith Rovers. It's been the hot topic. I mean, I suppose if you're looking to try and get your squad focused on a game, the last thing you want to be doing is constantly talking about this story that it's basically been a nightmare for Wraith Rovers, a PR disaster, and overall the backlash from their attempts to sign David Goodwillie just rolls on, and there's no let up in it, Richard.
No, there isn't, and I think that just shows you the gravity of the mistake that they made, and even signing him in the first place. But I believe that when it was put forward, I think there was a bit of an outcry from the fans, and they clearly never listened. I do have some sympathy with John McGinn in the sense that he had to come out and apologise because, yes, he's a manager and he would identify players, but there's someone above him who sanctioned the move and thought, yeah, it's okay. And I think they must have just, I don't know, not listened to a single thing any of their fans said. And it was a terrible decision, and you just got to think of the young girl who's involved. That she's kind of had to go through all of this again, and it could have been so easily avoided, but they got it so wrong. And thankfully now that the right decision has been made, but yeah, it rumbles on. It'll rumble on for a time now because those Wraith Rovers fans are not going to forgive too easily, especially when you've had the women's team and girls walking away and different people on the board, kind of giving up their job and stuff like that, jobs that they love because they're Wraith Rovers fans. But I think that just shows you the strength of the feeling. So it's going to take a while for them to get over that and get back. But they do still need to try and focus on the pitch because they've got big games coming up. They're involved in the championship push, same as ourselves. So it's a tough time for them. But whether remains to be seen whether they can kind of get over it and bounce back.
Yeah, John McGlynn, it's one of those excruciating press conferences, Tam. I had a certain amount of sympathy for him because he's a football man, where I think maybe he himself accepts that he was wide of the mark is the buck stops with the manager when who he wants to sign. So he's obviously started the ball rolling on this. Now he's had to come out and apologise, which again, I've got nothing but respect for him for. But I think the next part of this whole thing is constant pressure now to remove the entire board.
Yeah, I think it is. Listen, it's been a disaster, as Ricky spoke about there. It's been a disaster signing them. The board, I think 2 of them voted against and 4 of them voted for. So I think that the 4 that voted for, I think they'll be wanting him out. The Wraith Rovers supporters will be wanting him out. The chairman as well. So a lot of ill feeling at the club. They go into a big game against Celtic at the weekend. We spoke about it earlier. You know, that money that they make from that Celtic game will probably go to pay off, you know, Goodwilly's contract. So not only a PR disaster, financial disaster for the club as well. You know, they're still in the promotion race, you know, to try and get in that top four. I don't think they'll win the league, but they've got a chance to get in the top four. So, you know, it's difficult for John McGlynn because he is such a good football man. I felt sorry for him. I seen his interview yesterday, you know, with the press, and you know, he's made a bad decision, you know, to try and sign Goodwilly, you know, a football decision. And the strength of the feeling from the supporters soon turned that, you know, the other way. So, listen, I've got a wee bit of sympathy for John McGlynn, but Wraith Rovers have got to try and get on with it and, you know, move on.
Yeah, got to try and build some bridges. And the Celtic manager will be putting his side out against Wraith Rovers, Ange Postecoglou. I think it was a case of there, but for the grace of God, he is well aware that every manager has got to be so conscious of making decisions that affect other people.
You know, an organisation like ours, you have to be mindful of every decision you make and how it impacts on your supporters, your society, the community in general. So, yeah, that's why it's always good that when making big decisions, it's you know, you're hopefully in a room with various sort of range of thoughts and processes of other people, so that hopefully everyone can give context to any decision made. But
yeah, every decision a manager makes, you know, especially when it affects people. This one was just an absolute howitzer that they made the mistake on, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think it's the lack of communication with the public. You know, your fan base. You know, they're the ones that keep the club going. You know, and as Richard said, that there was some dialogue with a few of them, and a lot of them didn't want it, but it didn't look as if they didn't listen, and they just carried on with it. And unfortunately for John, he's the one that probably wanted to sign him. So I mean, it starts with him and then moves on to the board. But it's a horrible thing for them, you know, and it's really knocked them off track. I would go a bit further and take 15 points off them.
Yeah, I thought you might, Ruffy, just to help the case. You get that many games in hand, I don't think you'll need it. But with that in mind, I mean, I can remember Charlie on the show last year saying that Dundee, when they were coming up against Wraith Rovers were, in his mind, the best footballing side that they would face in the division. What are they like now?
They're very similar. I think that the first game we played them, they scored 3 goals early, and then we kind of scored probably about 15-20 minutes to go, and they kind of crumbled a little bit. And I think had the game gone on, I know it's stupid to say, but if the game had gone on 5 minutes longer, we'd have scored again. The second time we played them at home, you know, that was probably our best performance of the season in terms of the football that we played, and they never had a kind of target man striker, and we absolutely battered them. And you know, to score in the 97th minute, I think, or something it was amazing. But it's nothing less than we deserved, because we absolutely battered them. They get a man sent off, but in terms of the football, we really outplayed them that day. So they're kind of, I think this season they're almost caught in between. They're not quite the same level as they were football-wise as they were last season, but they don't have that kind of the same dig and fight that a lot of the other teams in the Championship have. So they're kind of caught in the middle. And the games have been interesting, the 2 games against them, but in terms of football, I don't think they've reached the heights they did the previous season.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think they two go to the same? Do you think they go to the same university course where they go, by the way, we dominated, but how we never battered them? That's his catch.
They get it for Ian McCall. Ian
McCall. You can't believe we get beat.
No,
they get it for Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That particular night was the first time ever the fog come down, and I don't think it was as bad on the park.
No.
But the fans in the stand couldn't see it, and we certainly couldn't see it. And
that was the first night I ever got man of the match.
And when we scored, nobody could see it. Yeah. Everybody just jumped up. The only people that could see it were the players on the park.
Yeah, well,
it was crazy.
They're going to have a different prospect this time around. Whether they'll be able to play that kind of a football, maybe there's a bit missing, but they're coming up against a side that you know right away you're going to face this tidal wave in Celtic.
Yeah, listen, Celtic have got massive favourites. You know, they've been tremendous this season. I looked at a start, you know, I think they lost the first 6 games, and I think from then on they've went 20 games unbeaten, 17 wins, 3 draws. So they're in imperious form at the minute, Celtic, and you know, you fear the worst if Celtic get that early goal. First 10-15 minutes, go 1-0 up. Could be a cricket score, to be honest. So I think Wraith Rovers will just go and try and keep it tight and see what happens, but I fancy Celtic strongly.
Yeah, I always remember the game at Ibrox in the League Cup, Ruffy, is the one that everybody looks back on as far as being a Raith Rovers fan and winning that game, but it's been a long time since they've won at Celtic Park. It's such a difficult place. 1962. What was that game like? Raith Rovers won that day, Ruffy. Was it a real tough one?
You retired then?
No, they're a good footballing side, but I mean, anybody knows that you go to Parkhead, you know, it's the first half you've got to deal with, you know, all the stats for Celtic in the first half, all the goals in the first half. So that's what they'll have to work on, you know, how they stop the juggernaut, you know, and they'll sit down and professionally they'll try and look at it and see how they can stop them. But the way Celtic are playing just now, they're just a joy to watch.
Okay, give us your prediction then.
I don't think it'll be a cricket score. I think maybe 3-0.
3-0. Okay, Richard.
I was thinking similar. I was going to say 4-0. I think Celtic will really dominate and they'll have the game won within the first half an hour, I believe.
Yep. Tom,
I'll go for 5.
You're going for 5-0.
5-0, aye.
No many cricket games win by 5.
Oh, I was just
You want me to go for 12-0?
5-0. Wow, he's emphatic about it. I think I'll err on the side of caution on this one. I'll go 2-0.
Yeah. Jamie McDonald's had a great season. I always thought he's been a really good servant to whatever club he went to.
Yeah, good goalie.
Yeah, super.
Good lad as well, actually.
Yes.
And I think John managed to get him because of their association at Hearts as well. Yep, good goalie, good call there. What about Annan Athletic against Rangers? I think the Annan management team certainly think if Rangers don't score 4 or 5, he's said basically that's a bad day for them.
Well, I mean, Celtic and Rangers are almost getting back to, you know, what I can remember when I kind of first came into the team when I was younger. You'd go to Parkhead and Ibrox, and if you came away 4-0, you'd be like, right, okay, guys, we've lost that game, but you're happy that it was only 4.
Yeah.
And they're getting back to that now. I think, you know, obviously Rangers lost the Old Firm game, but then the next 2 games, I mean, against Hibs, they kind of cantered to a win, I thought, but against Hearts, they were incredible.
Yeah. See, when you're a boy, though, then this is an insight that I think a lot of people, certainly a lot of our viewers, you know, looking to go off, the other team should have come out and made a go of it and made a better game of it. Give us an insight, you know, when you're playing against them, when you're a younger player and your team is there trying to lay a glove on them.
It's, you know, easier said than done, of course, but the players, you know, especially when you're younger, they're quicker, they're stronger. But their brains just work faster. You know, they see passes before you've even contemplated them taking a touch yet. They've already got a picture of what they're going to do. And sometimes they actually want you to go tight to them. They want you to steam in and go tight, and they just play the ball around you. So you're kind of caught between: do I just hold them a shape and try and be solid, but then there's no pressure on the ball, or do I try and go put pressure on the ball? But like I say, these good players, they want you to come and try and put pressure on them because then they'll pick you off. So it's very difficult. I think you've got to, when you play the Old Firm, for the most part, you've got to hope that you have your best game and they have an off day.
Yeah.
And you know, that might kind of seem a bit defeatist, but you know, that's the reality. These guys are superstars, you know, earning huge money in comparison to the rest of Scotland. So
is it equally a nightmare for you trying to, you know, when you've got the ball, play it out? Because I imagine always when you come up against a better player, the ability to lift your head sounds easy, but it's not when you're getting somebody closing you down.
No, exactly. And you know, the best teams, because they know that they just can press you, and even if you're good enough to beat their press, they back their defenders to take the ball off you, or their goalie to save it, so they can just go after you. And you say you look up, you try and find the pass. Sometimes you try and kick it out, and the fans blow the ball back in, so you can't even get rest from the ball going at the pitch. So it's just you know, if they're on it, and you know, and a couple of seasons ago, I went there twice within the space of 2 months, and got done 6-0 and 7-0. So I know what it can be like at Parkhead. And when they're on that form, sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say, nothing we can do, we just got to try and keep the score down.
Yeah, well, here's what Giovanni van Bronckhorst had to say regarding this game against Annan. Remember, it's on a plastic pitch. We want to compete in every competition, including the Scottish Cup. Our aim is always to win the Cup. For me, it doesn't matter the size of the stadium or the surface. We have to be focused on getting into the next round. We fully respect Annan. There will be no complacency from our side. We have to respect our opponent and play to our level. Strangely enough, I don't know about you, Tam, you know, when you've got players that are coming back from injuries, especially long-term injuries, the last thing I want to do is say, right, you're looking fit, I'm going to put you on a plastic pitch. And that's what I'm thinking about with Philip Helander. You know, hang off for another game. You know, don't rush him back.
No, I think in terms of older players as well, I think if it's younger boys, you can play them on AstroTurf. You know, they're probably used to going up and training on it every day and playing on it. I think when you get in your 30s, you don't really want to be playing in AstroTurf. You know, I found that myself when I went to America. So I think Aaron Ramsey's the one that everybody's speaking about. You know, does he throw him in for his first start? I would, personally. I think he needs game time. You know, he's been training obviously hard. I think they've been probably doing a bit of a pre-season meal. You know, he's not played a lot of football with Juventus, so I think it's a game where you give him 60 or 70 minutes, you get the game, you know, you get the minutes under his belt. But whatever team Rangers put out, let's be honest, they're going to go and win the game. You know, it just depends how strong they go. And Aaron will get a payday out of it, but I don't see them causing Rangers any problems whatsoever.
Yeah, it's great to see that calibre of player playing in our league. I mean, I personally, Richard, like to see you know, all Scottish clubs develop Scottish talent to get more and more game time. But you also have to have quality players that they can learn off. And you know, Ramsey coming into the division is fantastic for me.
Yeah, it is, and you're entirely right. I think sometimes we talk about young players coming in, and there's a lot of, you know, kind of talk about, oh, let's get the young players in, let them, but they need to learn. They need to learn from more experienced players, and it's not fair on the young guys to just throw them in and expect them to do it all on their own. So they need the guys, you know, the older experienced guys, and you know, Ramsey's career kind of speaks for itself. The teams he's played at, the games he's played in. So he should be if he can stay fit, he should be a real asset for Rangers. My worry is, you know, he's maybe thinking coming to Scotland because he hasn't played a lot of games. He might not have the fitness. You know, Scottish football is a fast pace. You know, he's coming. You need to be fit, and he's coming from Juventus, which is even slower than the English game, over to Scotland. So you know, now granted, Rangers dominate the ball in most games, but I can imagine he'll get caught out initially with the speed of the game, but once he finds his feet, he's obviously a top quality player. And like you say, it's great for the league to have that. It's great for the exposure of the league as well, because you know, it's a lot of time the league in Scotland is talked down, but you see someone like Gerrard being the manager at Rangers, kind of still talks relatively highly of the Scottish game, and I think that's important because we love to bash our own game up here, whereas, you know, I think it's a lot better product than sometimes we give it credit for.
Yeah, well, I think maybe, Sam, to be honest with you, Richard's spent too much time in the BBC studios. There's a real balance here. We're very pro-Scottish football.
No, he's totally right about the fitness side of it. You know, you can talk about the quality all you want here, but look at Joey Barton coming up and Shane Duffy, you know, guys that were established players in the English Premiership.
Shane Duffy's went back and played in the Premiership.
Yeah, that's
done well. You caught with the pace of the game up here. You've got to be fit, because there's something doing hunt for 90 minutes.
I'm going to get Richard's thoughts on it, but give me the best player that you played with who adapted to it and just, you know, was just a joy. Is it Sosie?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, Frank never really trained hard. He never really done anything during the week. He just had a cup of coffee and came out 5 asides. I remember Big Mixie done an interview a wee while ago, and he said Frank was the worst trainer he'd played with. Like, he just didn't 5 asides with a man doing. He just strolled about, but he says just on a Saturday I'll do it. You know, him, Russell Latapy was the same. You know, but I think the game's moved on now. You know, you've got to be fit. You've got to be fit. Joey Barton came up and probably thought, I'll stroll it up here, and he get found out. You know, and people ranting about him, you know, and getting about his ankles and people running by him. So I think Ramsey's got to get fit. I think Rangers are doing the right thing. They're waiting till he's fit, because he's going to be instantly judged. As soon as he gets into the team, people are going to go, oh, he's not got the legs or this and that. Wait till he's 100% fit, and then you put him in. Yeah,
and from your own point of view, Richard, was there a player that you looked at that had come in, maybe a foreign, maybe an English player, that you thought, oh, this is an absolute joy watching this guy alongside him?
Shawnee Aluko. When he came up, he was just a young boy, kind of hadn't played many games, so, you know, came up from England, kind of all the excuses already there made for him to not do well. But I played left back behind him, and it was a case of, like, I'll defend Shawnee and I'll just give you the ball, and he would go, and he would, you know, you could give it to him in a phone box and he'd escape. Left-footed, but so much quality. I think he then went on to Rangers and he scored an incredible goal in the Old Firm game, but he dribbled past 3 or 4 players. So much quality and a joy to play with, and again, he was one of the ones where, like I say, he almost had every excuse already written out for him, because he was young, because he hadn't played in Scotland before, we hadn't played many games, but he was excellent for me to play with, and he was obviously excellent to watch as well.
Yeah, Aaron 45-1 with the bookies, Ruffy, to come up with a shock. Is that worth a tenner of your money?
No, it certainly isn't, but it'll be a day to remember for the players. You know, when you get these games, I'm sure the majority of them would have hoped that it'd been at Ibrox. You know, that'd have been an occasion for them as well. But the whole town, I'll get a benefit from it as well. And even to get back to Ramsey, I think every other team in the Scottish Premier League will get a spin off it, because there's like the Motherwell supporters will want to come and see him, St Mirren will want to come. you know, so the money will come in the games, and I think it's a great thing. I think we should do it more often, as long as it's a quality player that's coming.
Yeah, Ruffy and I were out last night and we were talking to a select audience, and we were talking about strips and things like that. This is the perfect moment, hopefully, that the Annan players, you know, give a good account of themselves, and then after the game, you get a chance maybe to swap a strip. Some clubs...
The man marking Ramsey, wouldn't he?
Well, you would, absolutely. Even if you were the striker, you'd be back there covering him. But, I mean, was that something that you did, you know, for special players, that you were able to swap jerseys?
I have done it. I've done it in some of the European games I played in. I actually... I think I got Steve Davis's top, kind of when I'd went back, after being on loan, I'd went back to Aberdeen and we played against them. And actually scored in the game. Griggsy dropped one in the net, which is not like him. But you know, if the Annan players don't know Jimmy Bell, then they might ask for a top. But if they know him, there is no chance of that, because they're not getting one if he's got anything to do with that. He's very precious over his top. So, but yeah, it's a great occasion for them, and you would hope that, you know, there will be a few players, I would imagine, if Ramsey plays at the end of the game wanting his shirt, just because of the profile of the player, and you know, you play against these players, it could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So it's, you know, if you get their shirt, it's something that you can kind of remember for years to come. Yeah,
who's your best top that you've got?
I got a guy called Alton Top from Bayern Munich. He was a Turkish lad. He had a twin brother who also played, but he was unbelievable. His movement, his touch, everything. You felt like you were on the waltzers trying to mark him. So obviously not the biggest name, but I think probably one of the toughest opponents I've ever played against. We got scudded at 5-1 in the Allianz Arena, but I got his shirt after the game, so that was quite a proud moment for me.
Yeah, you played in the Allianz Arena. We were talking about Hampden getting refurbished potentially for 2028 if we were lucky enough to be part of a home nation bid. Is that the type of thing you'd love to see Hampden look like?
Oh yeah, I mean, the Allianz is incredible. Like the way the stairs come out and you come onto the pitch, and you know, it's not great when the Bayern Munich are on the pitch at the same time as you, because you can't even see the ball, never mind get close to it. But in terms of the stadium itself, you go back in, the dressing rooms are huge. There's, you know, like recovery pools in the dressing room, and it's got all the kind of facilities you need. So yeah, if Hampden were to, I mean, Hampden's not bad. Its pitch is a bit far from the stands, but if it was to look something like the Allianz, it would be pretty special.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go 5-0, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think it'll be run about that. I think it depends what team he puts out there, you know, but anybody he puts out there has got something to prove in the Rangers side, so I think it'll probably be about 5 as well.
Yeah, I'll go 3 or 4 this one.
Yep, 3 or 4. That's 3 or 4 is text me and goes, by the way, I told you. 3 or 4.
I think I'm going to go 5-0 as well. 5-0 Celtic, 5-0 Rangers are your double.
Right, okay then, there's a double for us.
Probably wouldn't even get good odds.
I know. No, exactly. You get your pound back. Anyway, the other games, I think, are a real tale of either disgruntled fans or managers under pressure. Hearts against Livingston, the first of them we're going to talk about. I am looking at this one, and I think Robbie Neilson is also in the category maybe of Stephen Glass. Ruffy, if the Jambos were to lose this match, they're safely in third. There's nothing really, you know, you start to see the Hearts fans are going, oh, what is there to play for here? We want to keep the excitement of being in, you know, a trophy.
Yeah, well, Hearts are now, the supporters have got an expectation. They want to start seeing Hearts getting to semi-finals more regularly and possibly finals. They want them to be the third team, which they are just now. And they are playing good football. I thought the other night there, they should have beat Dundee. They should have taken their chances and they'd have won it, but they never. These things happen in a game. But the form that Livy's on, they'll make it difficult for them. You know, they'll have to take their chances when they come along, because we know what Livy can do.
Yeah, and one of the general feelings, I think, from all the people who are on our feed, more often than not, give Livingston the credit. We certainly give them the credit, Richard, for not being, as some people have labelled them, you know, just set pieces and long balls, which is far from the truth, because you look at the record at the moment, 4 wins, 2 losses and a draw in the last 7 games, and I thought they were going to get relegated, but no chance.
No, I don't think. There's no chance of them getting relegated. I think in fair play to David Martindale, because he said that months ago when they were, you know, in a much more precarious position. But no, they actually, you know, yes, they get the ball forward quickly, but when they get it forward, they've got good players at the top end of the pitch. I think Alan Forrest just now is having, you know, the kind of real purple patch. But every time he gets it, he's positive. He drives forward. They've got, is it Montano on the left hand side, who's quicker than a bag of cheetahs. You know, they've got so much pace going forward, and they've now got Newblade back, who he caused a lot of defenders a lot of problems in the Championship. And he's a big target man, but he's actually really good with the ball at his feet, and he brings guys into play. And guys like Nicky Devlin, who's just an athlete, gets up and down the pitch. So the players are much better, and they're much more athletic than you give them credit for, or that some people give them credit for. Not you guys here, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, they're a decent side, and confidence is a huge thing in football, as you all know that, and they're playing with confidence at the moment. And Hearts are. What do they have to play for if they go out here? Yes, they're probably going to finish third anyway, but they're hitting a little bit of a sticky patch, and this will be a tough game for them because of the expectation of their fans. You know, I think a few of them booed at the Dundee game, and it's like, right, okay, you got beat, but you're still third in the league.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually, it should be a really good cup tie, because it's Hearts are a decent side on form. Livingston are currently in form. So it'll be a tough game. I do expect Hearts to win because they're at home, but it's certainly not a game that Hearts will be looking forward to in terms of the opposition, because you know Livingston will make it a real tough tie.
Yeah, I like Nicky Devlin. I'm a big fan of Nicky. I think he went down south early and then come back up to Scottish football. Good leader on the part for them. I think this was just so tough to call. I'm going to err on a 2-1 for Hearts. What about yourself, Robbie?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the home advantage, you know, and just to get back to what I was saying there, I thought they created enough chances the other night there against Dundee, and I think they'll create more chances tomorrow, and I think if they take them this time, I would go to possibly 2-1 as well.
Yeah, Richard?
Well, I can't go 2-1 now, can I?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-0. 1-0 Hearts.
Yeah, it could be as tight as that.
I think it'll be tight. I've been really impressed, obviously, with Hibs games, and I've seen Livingston have beat Hibs twice when I've been there, and I thought Livingston were excellent both games, so I think it's a really tough game. I think Hearts will just edge it, but I think it'll be very, very tough. You know, I wouldn't be, surprised if Livingston go and turn them over.
Yeah, if I was a fan, if I was transported to one club at the moment and thinking, right, we're going to meet you in the supporters bus in the morning, Ruffy, I'd probably be there with no nails, and I'd be on that bus with my fellow Aberdeen fans thinking our season could come crumbling down around us if Motherwell take the scalp at Fir Park.
It's going to be a difficult one for the players. Obviously, we all know the expectation. Aberdeen, they think they should always be up there, third team or fourth team, and in semi-finals and finals. Where it's going to be difficult is at Motherwell. The players come out of that stand where their supporters are.
Yeah,
you know, and if that goes pear-shaped, they've got to walk up that wee terracing bit where the nucleus of their fans are, and it could be a horrible walk if it goes pear-shaped.
Yeah, isn't it amazing that you always remember the bad bits of games where you had to walk down the tunnel and you were facing one of your managers that's going to give you pelters? I mean, you're absolutely 100% right on it. And if anything, we have Andrew Shiney on here every Monday, and we think he might need counselling now because he's on a big downer, Richard, because he's just not got it together for them. I don't know what the problem is with him. I have highlighted to these guys here that I think their defence is just not up to it.
I think, touching on what Ruffy said there, I'm just glad that's not me having to do that walk. I'm not making it to the top of the stairs. There's no chance. The relationship I have with most Aberdeen fans. But no, I think they're young. The defence are young. And as we spoke about earlier, the young, you're going out to play for Aberdeen, who are a massive club and there's huge expectation.
Is McCrory a centre-back?
I don't think so.
Neither do I.
I don't think he senses danger well enough to be a centre-back. I don't think he's aggressive enough in terms of heading and defending. But I think he need, if he was to play in there, he'd need, Declan Gallagher's not played, but he's an experienced head that maybe he doesn't have the legs of a McCrory or a Bates. But I think Gallagher should possibly play with one of the other two because he brings that experience and he can talk the young guys through the game. Yeah. You look at Ramsey on the right back, and I think he's excellent going forward. Fantastic player.
But they started off with a 3 against Celtic, and the ball came in and Jota. I mean, it's that thing that constantly that ball comes into the box, Richard, that's their undoing. It's either the goalkeeper can't make the
But I think, you've got the young guys there, there's no communication. The goalkeeper doesn't really know if he's coming, so then that puts the defence under pressure, and then they don't really want to clear it, so that puts the goal under pressure. And I think the mix at the moment, like I say, with Ramsey, his positioning's a bit wrong, but he needs an experience. I mean, I was lucky I had Russell Anderson, he just coached you through the game.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys don't have that at the moment, so I think they maybe need a bit of experience in defence. But I said this before, that I think Aberdeen this season are maybe a top 6 team, and that's the best they can do because of the transition, because of the turnover of players. But you get the Aberdeen of the second half against Celtic, and I think they win the game. But it's the consistency. You don't know what Aberdeen are going to turn up, and too often I think the game previous to that, I heard one of the commentators talking about this is probably the worst Aberdeen performance of the season, and then the next game they kind of in the second half they put in a really good performance. So it's just they're just a bit all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, and strangely enough, Lewis Ferguson has come out and said that referees are killing Aberdeen. Now, we never mentioned it the other night there because I didn't think it was that relevant because Celtic had won the game, but Jota could have had a hat-trick because he was called for offside for a decision that wasn't offside. So, sometimes I think people have a selective view of the game. I mean, Celtic didn't really look as if they'd get out of second gear against Aberdeen, and suddenly they were 2 goals up.
Yeah, I think when you're a player and the things are not going well, you blame anybody by yourself, and I think that's what's happening now. They're blaming the referees. Decisions. They're just not playing well enough to win games at the minute. As Ricky says there, they're too inconsistent. Away from home, their record's dreadful away from home this season. Motherwell beat them twice, 2-0, I think, home and away in the league. So, listen, I think Aberdeen are favourites with the bookies, but I don't see that at all. I think Motherwell should be favourites. I think Motherwell obviously not playing that well at the minute. They're struggling with Tony Watt leaving. They've not got a lot of goals in their team. They're struggling to score. But I would fancy Motherwell at home to beat Aberdeen. I really would, and I think they would be doing the walk of shame after the game.
Yeah.
Stephen Glass will need to put a helmet on and go up that stand.
I was going to say,
they might have to walk it twice because if they're down at half time.
Ruffy's clearly put a lot of thought into this. Listen, Ruffy, they're 1 win in 6, and that was against Edinburgh City. So what's even worse, I was looking at the stats, 2 away wins all season. It's not good.
No, I'm going to stick my neck out and go for Aberdeen. I thought the second half performance was reasonable. I think the boy Ramirez has come on to a better game. Some of the goals he scored recently, he's taken them really well, and I think they'll be relying on him quite a lot. I think they'll just nick it. I think it'll be a difficult one, but the omission of Tony Watt is really hitting Motherwell just now.
Don't look as if they're going to score a goal at the minute.
So I'm going to go Aberdeen to win 2-1.
Yeah, it's funny you saying that because obviously Stephen Glass has been listening to Ruffy and that walk of shame up that stand because he says the real motivation is to keep the fans happy.
I think the motivation to keep the fans happy is always there. And like I said before, any time that we've given them something to get behind, they have. That's never been in doubt the whole season. And I think it's important the boys do it from the start and let them feel that there's a determined team out there that knows how to go and win a game of football. And I think they'll get the players get back in every time when they do that.
Yeah, the one thing about it, when Aberdeen are playing well, are getting results, are competitive, they've got a great fan base away from home. They will travel in numbers, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's full credit to them because they do travel so well. Yes, they can be a bit harsh at times, and they've got a high expectancy of what they want from their Aberdeen teams. But they kind of put their money where their mouth is. They go to games. Maybe they could probably do with a bit more home support, I think. But the away fans have always been kind of loud. They're always on your side. But Aberdeen need to go there and entertain their fans. They need to get the fans on side early in games. And we spoke about other night Celtic second half. But you'd already kind of lost the game, really. I know they got back into it, but then suddenly Celtic were sparked into life and they scored the third goal. But yeah, I think the fans deserve a level of performance, a level of consistent performance, especially away from home, because their record is kind of far below standard, and hopefully for them they can change that. But I'm gonna go with Ruffy. I'm going to say Aberdeen are going to win after extra time, 2-1.
Right. Okay, 2-1. You touched on the point that Graham Alexander made in the press conference, which is basically that they've been destabilised by the loss of Tony Watt. But can they get themselves together? Can they even Van Veen, you're looking at something like him or Woolery to produce something to give them a wee spark. I don't know. I know I'm reading your mind because another one of your pals is a manager. I'm going to go Motherwell to win 2-1.
I think it'll be very, very tight. I don't see a lot of goals in the game, to be honest. I think both, it'll be cagey. Both don't want to lose the game. I think the seasons are on the line, particularly Aberdeen. Yeah. I hope Aberdeen win. I hope Aberdeen for Glassy. I hope they win because I think if they lose, he's got to be under really intense scrutiny for the supporters. So I'll go for Aberdeen.
Do you think if they get beat, he'll just walk down the tunnel rather than walk up? Just go that way.
We can all say, oh, he's under pressure. Is it pressure because Dave Cormack's got a decision to make?
I think it will be, because I don't see Dave Cormack sacking him this season. I just think he's brought him in. He's going to back him. I think he'll get to next season, and I think the start of next season will be crucial. I think if they start off, I think it's similar to Sean Maloney. I think both of them will see the season out, but I think next season expectations will be doing a lot better than they have this season.
You've got to even listen to fans, don't you? You've got to listen to your fans. If the fans are really unhappy and they don't, they stop coming to games and they stop putting the money in, then there comes a point where you have to make that decision. But hopefully, like as Tam said, hopefully it's not too soon. And he's still a relatively young manager. He needs time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if ever there was a lesson in time, it was their old gaffer, Sir Alex Ferguson, facing real adversity in the Cup in England, after a 5-year period, and suddenly, one goal from Mark Robins changes his whole life and Manchester United's pathway to success. So I'm not saying Aberdeen are going to suddenly turn around and win cups in the league, but
no, but I think you've got to be decent enough and look at the whole situation. He's came in, as Richard's saying, he's a young manager. He's trying to do his best, and sometimes you don't get the results. So I think he's got to be given a season. But as I've said, that if it doesn't happen this season, it just means when the next season starting, you're under a wee bit of pressure to hit the ground running.
Yeah, well, I've had 4 wins overall. And I think something needs to change, and the away form is just abysmal. They need to get that right, and of course, if they can get it right and click, then maybe the second half of the season and staying in the cup will help them. Okay, did you give us a prediction there?
Aberdeen.
Just.
Yep.
Okay. Partick Thistle against Dundee United. Yeah. Is there a walk of shame at all for Hill? I mean, you guys are the underdogs. You're unbeaten in 6 games, 3 wins, 3 draws. Everything looks okay in the garden. You've got a few games in hand in the league. So, Partick Thistle against Dundee United. And I love this, because I always like a game where there could be a wee bit of needle, or, by the way, this is what you missed. Brian Graham, 18 goals.
Yeah, the big man's in great form just now, and he leads the line so well for us. He's actually a joy to play with. He's obviously similar. He's a couple of years younger than me. But I don't want to do him a disservice, but we're kind of cut from the same cloth. He's old school, if you will, but he's just got an aggression and a desire, and he likes fighting with defenders, but he loves nothing more than scoring goals. I've never known a guy, even in training, to be so happy to score goals. Yeah. And obviously this season and previous seasons he's been so good at it. But he's a big player for us, and he scored a hat-trick the other night. Well, we'll give him 2.5 goals, because I think maybe the first one was an own goal. But he's in real good form. He's obviously, like you say, he's played for Dundee United, and he'll be desperate to put in a good performance. But having said that, as long as we win the game, he won't care if he scores or not. But he will be determined to try and score a goal against one of his own old teams.
Yeah, that's a good point that he makes here, because you touched on it last night, Ruffy. I don't know about you. You definitely would enjoy it, but I love players who enjoy scoring goals. You mentioned that every time Kenny Dalglish scored a goal, he smiled. It's a great thing to do. The game's about entertainment. The game's about enjoying yourself.
Yeah, and Brian, when he scores, he's right round the back of the goal. He's right round his cell. Unfortunately, there's only one side of the stadium's full just now, but if there were people around, he'd get right around everybody and put a smile on everybody's face. Yeah. I personally, watching him I don't know how you can concentrate in the game himself, because he's fighting with the referee, he's fighting with the linesman, he's fighting with the centre half.
I love him already.
He's just fighting with everybody, every decision.
I think that's what keeps him kind of. I think if he loses that, then he wouldn't be the player he is. But yeah, he's a great guy to have in the dressing room, but he's great on the pitch as well. And like I say, that he's always got your corner if things get a bit ugly, so that's also good. Yeah,
no surprise, Ruffy. I've just mentioned that I do like Stuart Bannigan. I think I like midfielders who pass the ball forward, can see a pass, and I liked him as a player before he got that injury as well. I haven't seen that much of him after the injury. You guys might be able to tell me, but good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. Him and Docherty in the middle of the park are an excellent partnership. I've seen them against Kilmarnock live in the BBC maybe a month ago, and both of them looked excellent. I think Thistle have still got a real chance in the title race as well, but I don't say there's no pressure, but it's a kind of free hit. Dundee United are favourites, you know, team the league above, and I think if Partick Thistle can turn up, how's the pitch? Is the pitch still a nightmare? I don't think Dundee United will fancy it. I don't think they'll. I think Thistle can get in about them, you know, and.
You know the pitch is a cow field, don't you?
It is a cow field, but Partick Thistle used to.
Well, what is it?
There's only wee bits.
It's just a dump then.
No,
it's not a cow field.
It's not the whole field. It's like the cows have just walked around the edges.
So you want to play through the middle.
But yeah, it's
Partick Thistle are used to playing in it. That's what I'm
it's
saying.
a tough pitch to play football
yeah,
on, you know, and Dundee United are a good football inside and they like to move the ball quickly. Becomes a bit more difficult on our pitch depending on what the weather is. If it rains overnight, you know, it could be a fun one to watch certainly. But it's going to be a home one. Partick Thistle 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. Okay, listen, I'm happy that you're saying that because you need to be at times partisan, patriotic towards the team that you play for. As far as the opposition are concerned, though, Tony Watt, I don't think anybody was unhappy with him with his overall work rate. It was a stonewall certainty he was going to score against Motherwell. And this is a great line. I mean, sometimes in Scottish football you do get the odd line that comes out from players or managers that stick in your head. And with that altercation with Alan Burrows, Tony Watt says he's not here to tickle Alan Burrows' manly parts, you know, on their fallout. And I thought, there's Tony being polite about it all.
No, we knew where the run-in was coming from, you know, and I think he's apologised after it. These things happen after a game. Sometimes you say something you don't really wish you had said, you know, and that's the situation. I'm glad he scored in midweek because it means he's not going to get his first one against us, which is a bit of a bonus. But there's going to be a great atmosphere tomorrow. I think Dundee United have sold something like 2,000 tickets for the game, you know, and I think you're talking maybe 5,000-6,000 at that game tomorrow. So it'll be great for the players, and it's great for the players to see where they want to be. You know, and it's not a free hit, you know, our objective is to get back into the Premiership. So as long as the players enjoy it and we put up a good show, I think it'll be good. Yeah,
for me personally, I'm delighted to see Kevin McDonald back. He gets 73 minutes. Everybody's just so delighted. He's a top player, and if he can get stretched 3-4 more years out, and you know, maybe the Premiership, and I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think Dundee United will be delighted that he's there. I think if it wasn't for his health issues, he'd still be in England. He'd still be in English Championship for me. You know, he's a top player. Obviously, he's had health issues. He's probably just delighted to be back playing football again. You know, as I said, he was a young kid at Dundee when I was there. And even when he was a young kid at 16, 17, he came into the team up at Dens Park. His quality was unbelievable. You know, you could see he was such a big guy, but great feet. And he's had a great career in England. So, no, I think that it's good to see him back. I think he'll give Dundee United a wee bit of calmness in the middle of the pitch as well. But I don't know if he'll fancy for Hull tomorrow. The surface, I don't think it will suit the big man. But no, he'll just be delighted to be back playing. And I heard Tony Watt saying about he wasn't going to celebrate, but some of the fans were giving him abuse, and I totally agree with that. I remember a couple of times, I think I was at Dundee, no, I was at Falkirk and I played against Dundee, and I said to myself, I'm not going to celebrate today if I score. But I came out to the warm-up and I was getting dogs abuse, and I went, if I score, I'm getting up them. And I did, I scored. We went 2-0 up, and I was giving them all in a row. You know, and after the game, they're talking about disrespect. So I can see why Tony Watt, if he was getting abuse after Motherwell fans, decided to react to it.
Well, that's all right if it's Falkirk against Dundee. What was your reaction like when Griggsy dropped that one in and you'd scored?
It was a strange moment because I was still half hoping that Rangers would sign me again, so I just kind of jogged back. To be fair, I think we were 3-0 down at the time, so the goal really meant nothing anyway. If it was the equalising goal, I still would have celebrated because you know, like I say, it was a catch-22. I was trying to go back to Rangers, but I was also trying to get the Aberdeen fans to like me again. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. But no, it was just. It was one of those, you're not even ready for it because you hit the shot and you think, oh, he's going to catch that. And then you go, oh, no, it's in the net. And you've already, the moment's kind of passed. And like I say, the game was done at that point. So there was very muted celebrations. Yeah,
okay, I'm going to be hated by the crowd at this moment because I think it's going to go to extra time and I think Dundee United are just going to sneak it 2-1.
I'm going to go for Thistle. I'm going to go for Thistle for a wee upset. I just think they're playing well at home. I like they've got a good side, strong side, big Graham up front. No particularly think Dundee United will fancy that park, so I'm going to go for Thistle to get through. I'll be upset.
Yeah, have you got a couple of tickets for your mates? I'm talking about your really good mates, not us, we're just acquaintances. Have you got a couple of people going into the...
Not tomorrow, don't know if the wife might want to come to the game tomorrow, so...
Is your wife going to the game?
Better than my wife is going.
She's going to her auntie's tomorrow.
You're a bad man. Anyway,
I'd like to think we get a narrow win, keep it going, keep the run going.
I don't even know why I asked you. Of course you're going to say you're going to get an arrow win. If we're talking about cup shocks, Paisley, St Mirren, Kelty, or has Jim Goodwin got this group playing the way he wants it now?
I think they're just playing too well at the moment. I think they're a decent side. You know, the one criticism of them before was they never scored enough goals. Well, they've got that now. They've got Conor Ronan, who's a tremendous player. He's so quick, great touch. He can obviously finish the ball as well. So I just think they'll be too strong for Kelty. It'd be a great story if Kelty could go there. Obviously, I know Tam O'Ware and Joe Cardle, who I played with, kind of was buzzing for them that they managed to put out St Johnstone. But I just think this will be one step too far, because I think St Mirren at the moment are just too good a side, especially at home. Different if it was at Kelty on their AstroTurf pitch, but I think at home St Mirren will go through in the tie.
Yeah, well, you won't catch the St Mirren boss, Jim Goodwin, being complacent about this one.
Look, it's going to be extremely challenging. There's no pressure on Kelty Hearts. They're the underdogs, but it is a banana skin. Very similar to last round's game against Ayr United. And my players have they're under no illusions as to how difficult this is going to be.
Jim doesn't want to slip up. 10-1 Kelty to beat Saints.
I don't fancy Kelty. I think St Mirren will be too strong. You know, I seen them last week, the week before against Hibs. They won 1-0. You know, Conor Ronan's excellent. The boy Grieve scored the other night. I think he's a good signing as well. I liked him up front. Good legs. So I don't see an upset there. I think St Mirren will win that game comfortably.
Okay, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think if you'd asked me 2 months ago when St Mirren weren't winning games, there might have been a wee chance, but they've got their act together and they are scoring. They're managing to get that second goal, which is always important. As Richard said, a lot of experience in that Kelty side, a lot of senior experience, so I think they'll make it difficult for them. I think St Mirren in the end will just beat them.
Yeah, there's one game I'm really looking forward to watching. It's 12:30 Sunday, Arbroath versus Hibs. Dick Campbell, as Richard and I were talking about before we come on here. Okay, boys, get the balls in the channels, get everybody up, get the midfield starting to pass the ball in their half, and let's see how they like it.
Yeah, they're a good side. Forget about the wind and everything. Forget about it. The boy McKenna's a top class player, and they've got a lot of experience as well. It's the wind. The wind just kills it. I mean, do you remember I'll never forget this. We played them in a midweek game. It was blowing a gale. They took the wind, and every time the ball went out the park, whether it was a throw in or it was a ball come on the park, another ball come on the park, another ball, the ball just kept rolling. And when we turned round and we had the wind, there was one ball. Anytime we went out the park, it never came back. Where's the ball? No ball. As we went into the sea, no ball. They were winning 1-0 obviously at the time. Yeah. So they play the game to suit the elements, but they are also a good side.
Yeah.
Don't take anything away from them. They're a good side.
They outplayed us at our place as well.
Yeah.
In what way did they outplay you?
Just in terms of their aggression for the game, they move. They don't pass the ball around the back. They go forward early, but they don't just. It's not just a launch. I think we've seen it the other night against Kilmarnock. It's not just a launch into a channel and chase after it. It's good quality passes forward to the striker who holds the ball in, brings his midfielders in, and the midfielders know that they don't need to go and get the ball from the defence. They just, it's going long, we go and support it. So they win lots of second balls. They win tackles, headers. They put the ball in your box. They make you defend. They put the ball over, in behind you as defenders. And they've got a back four who don't move too much, but the centre half pairing love heading the ball, love defending, and I think any ball into their box, it's got to be a real good quality cross to get on for someone to get on the end of it. And they just, like I say, they just play the game in a way that it's very, very difficult to, because we get caught up and we end up trying to play the same game, and they're just better than we are at that way of playing. Yes, the wind is a big factor when you're up at Arbroath, but even without that, they're a good quality side, and they will cause Hibs a lot of problems, especially if they want to try and play out from the back, because Dick will have them pressing high, and I think especially up there, if the wind's in your face and you can't kick it too long, and you're trying to pass out in a little tight pitch, I think maybe the tactics from Hibs will change pretty quick if they start trying to pass out from the back.
Yeah, 4 defeats all season at Arbroath. Now Dick Campbell has had numerous, promotions with various sides. There's a lot of people say he's old school because maybe he places a great emphasis on man motivation, as well as I think he's got a backroom team that are good and thorough. at preparation. Dick Campbell has got something as a manager, and he knows how to get the best out of teams, play to their strengths, and I think that's something that sometimes, younger managers would do well to sit down and listen to him at times, and it might help them along the way.
Yeah, I think younger managers, younger coaches now seem to have a philosophy in the game. Like, this is how I want to play. You want to play out for the back. I want to play between the lines and whatever. But I think in terms of Dick Campbell, I think he's very underrated. As you said, he plays to his strengths, his team's strengths. This is what we've got. This is what we're going to play. He's had a great career as a manager. Team promotions. If Arbroath win the league this season, it'd be one of the biggest achievements I think in Scottish football history. For a part-time team to win the championship. With some big clubs in there. I think they're favourites now to go and win the league. So obviously, I think Hibs' point of view, it's not a game I don't think a lot of Hibs supporters are looking forward to. I speak to a lot of them on social media or whatever. I work with a club, but I don't think Hibs will relish this at all. And I think Ricky's right. If they try and play out for the back, which they have done, I don't think they've got the players at the minute to go and play that style of play, and that's the problem with Hibs at the minute. I understand Sean wants to play a certain way, but they've not got the players to do that. So he's got to quickly, analyse that and say, right, what have we got? What's your strengths? And they've got to start playing it until he can get better quality in, or else he's going to find himself under a bit of pressure.
Well, they haven't won a league game in 2022, and the other negative on this whole thing is you only have to look back at the game against Cove Rangers. Cove Rangers played really well against them at Easter Road. I mean, Ruffy, I'm looking at this, 11-4 for Arbroath, 15-13 Hibs. I'm going to go Arbroath to sneak it 2-1.
I think this one will go the whole road. I think it'll be very difficult. I think probably one each and then into extra time. And I've got to think, I know Tam's been batting on Nisbet's not taking these chances. I think this will be the day when the time when Nisbet gets a winner.
Yeah. Hibbies to win what? 1-0? 2-1. Richard?
I want to go Arbroath 1-0.
Yeah.
I've got to go for Hibs. I think Hibs.
Why?
Because he's on Hibs TV.
Honestly, do you know what? You're actually, I mean, there are certain times in this programme now, Charlie's fine because he plays for Dundee, but you're playing, you're a former Hibs player, you're working for Hibs TV, and I look at you and then I'll look at the Hall of Famer over there and I think to myself, I'm going to ask them this question, but I really don't care about the answer, So you're going for the Hibs?
I'll go for Hibs to sneak it 2-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Peterhead Dundee is our last port of call on this Scottish Cup. I personally love Jim McInally. I think he's a great lad. He's the type of guy I would take into the trenches with me, Ruffy, because a spade's a spade with him. And you know what you get with Jim. They might not be in the best position in the league, but they're bored like him. They love what he does. They don't expect him to, win the league every season, but he's got a game plan. And he sticks to it. Are they going to knock out Dundee?
No, I don't think they are. If Dundee hadn't got that one at Tynecastle, I think it would have been more difficult for the players getting into that game with the pressure it brings for them, the manager, everything, and the supporters. I just think Peterhead aren't playing particularly well just now, and I think Dundee have got them at the right time. And I probably think Zach will get a goal. He looked as if he's just made that breakthrough in there and he's got his goal, so I think Dundee will win 2-0.
Yeah, I know Mullen's been saying that he thinks it's got the makings of a good partnership, the two of them up there, because of what Zach offers.
Yeah, I mean, Zach's pace frightens teams. He's so sharp. He's willing to run in behind, which seems to be a dying art with a lot of younger players, and he's so good to that. For someone as young as him, his movement's very clever. He gets himself into positions that centre-halves don't want to come and mark him, and then he's willing to then go in behind, and he was excellent for us. It was great for me as a fullback. I could just tube it over into the channel and he would chase it. But yeah, I think and to get the goal so early, his first start, he scored a goal. He'll be full of confidence just now, and he's a real nice boy as well. And I want him to do really well. And I think, with all respect, the last 2 seasons he's been playing. He'll be going to stadiums like Peterhead and playing against these teams, and we've seen how good he can be at this level, and I think he'll score at least one, and I think Dundee will go through.
Dundee have obviously realised now that they have got a £150,000 player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. let it go, Ruffy. Let it go. Okay.
To be fair, we'll need that money to fix the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Get a grip, will you, for the footballers, the purists. Sometimes we read out the messages. It's been that much going on as far as the cup ties are concerned, but a few messages coming in, and one of them is basically Paul Crawford says Hibs will win easy, and another one says. you know, Rangers 4-0 Hibs. Dick will pipe right down, says Stephen McNamara. If it was 4-0, I think the Hibs fans would be suddenly thinking, okay, Sean's starting to do this. I have to say, one of the Aberdeen fans questioned whether I've got any mates who are Aberdeen fans. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I do have. And he says, Richard, you're still welcome at Aberdeen, no problems at all.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So that's absolutely nice. I think, you know...
Is that so they can lynch me then?
Well, I was going to say to you, time is a great healer with things like this, because it is a club where I thought you performed well up there. I thought you played well. You did well up there. Obviously, the last thing that anybody can do is go and join Rangers. It's just a no-no at times, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that was in the way the whole thing came about. And I think at the time, a lot of people thought that I went in and asked to leave, but that wasn't the case. It was almost like I was put out to tender by the manager and picked up by Rangers. But no, I mean, it's a fantastic club. It's run really well. I'm still in contact with a few people that work there. Obviously, I know Andrew Considine quite well. And, you know, I kind of play on it more than, you know, I don't get Aberdeen fans regularly abuse me in the street and things like that.
Yeah.
And for the most part, even when I've been back there with St Johnstone, Ross County, for the most part it's good humoured, and I have a laugh with them and they have a laugh with me, and you enjoy it when you beat them, of course, and you just can try and hide when you lose, but for the most part it's good humoured. I mean, there are a couple who overstep the mark, but that's always going to happen in football. But no, it's a huge club, and it's a great club to play for, and obviously I had some of my best football memories up there and played in some right top games. The Copenhagen game stands out. Not just because I scored, just because we then qualified from the group, and then we got to play Bayern Munich. So yeah, fantastic memories of the club, and I wish them the success, and I hope for Stephen Glass it does improve, and you know, the tie tomorrow will go a long way to doing that. So hopefully for him they can get the right result.
Yeah, you mentioned Considine there. Were you involved in getting dressed up in the?
I certainly was not.
No.
Okay. No, that was a weird bankery thing that he must be doing. I don't know his mates.
Yeah. Well, let's not knock it. Everybody likes getting into a dress every now and then. Anyway, apart from that, the English Premier League fixtures. Here's what's on offer down south. Of course, some people suggesting that Manchester City are just rolling away with this one. But we've got Man United against Southampton. Bit of pressure again for Ralph Rangnick's side. Brentford, Crystal Palace. Everton take on Leeds. Watford against Brighton. Norwich, Man City. And Burnley against Liverpool. Newcastle, Aston Villa. Tottenham against Wolves. And Leicester against West Ham. And my old pal Davy Moyes says he's going to play Kurt Zouma. So more flack on the terracing, Ruffy.
Yeah, but you're a manager, you've got to make these decisions. He's making the decisions for the benefit of the team. And he'll take the flak, and they'll move on, and in a month or two we won't be talking about it. And if he finishes fourth in that league, it'll be an absolute bonus.
Yeah, I can't see Liverpool really pushing Man City for this title this season. It looks as if Pep's going to be celebrating again. Even Jurgen Klopp is resigned to that fact at the moment.
I'm not sure we are in a position to get them on their toes, to be honest. But it's not important in the moment, to be honest. It's eventually we have no chance to catch them. Would that mean we shall not try to play the best possible season for us? So I can see that. So first and foremost, we have to win our football games. And this football club is massive.
I like watching Liverpool under Klopp. I love the players he's got there, but City are just too good.
Yeah, I think City win the Champions League this year. I think they're favourites to win it. I fancy Man City. I think this is their year. I think they're solid at the back. I had a wee bit of concern about their number 9, but this still keeps going a lot of goals. You know, they don't really need a recognised number 9, I don't think. I think guys that will chip in for goals, and I think Man City could win everything this year. I think this is the season for Pep to win the Champions League. Yeah,
interestingly enough, Ruffy, from you, are you still sticking with Paris Saint-Germain?
Yeah, I'm a Paris. Every year.
Every year until they do it.
Until they do it, yeah. They've certainly got the players to do it, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't agree with Tom. I don't think Man City will win everything.
No? What about you? Give us a Champions League winner.
To be honest, I don't watch enough of it to know.
Is that right?
I love watching Scottish football. I find, you know, we always two teams. It's only two teams up there. Right now, it's only one team down there, so it's boring. Yeah. Man City have had the league's wrapped up already, almost. You know, because they're so good. But I suppose Tam's got a point that they're playing so well at the moment that I do think they probably, will have a good shot at winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to get emotionally involved with the English game.
Is that right? Is that because you're from Elgin and it's just too far?
I'm the same.
It's
Just,
just,
you know, I'm the same.
He's like
I think
you,
it's
Ryan.
just,
I'd watch a Scottish game.
Yes.
and you'll get plenty of stick for it, but I'd rather watch a Championship game on a Friday night than a Premiership game. Maybe because I know the players, because I know the teams, because I'm involved in it myself, that might be the factor. But I think it's, we always talk about how good the English players are, and their value's always inflated, and then you watch them week in, week out, getting nowhere near the quality that you've been told that they are of.
Yeah.
And I just think I find it very difficult to get myself into the game. I'll catch the occasional game on the TV, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, same as everything. But I would just much rather watch Scottish football.
Yeah. Just calm yourself. I don't want you alienating yourself with the city of Manchester. You're getting flack in Aberdeen. The last thing we want is you heading down to Manchester to get flack as well. Anyway, it's been an absolute joy having you on. I hope you've got a speedy recovery from the injury and back in that Partick Thistle side. Only when they get the pitch fixed, because the last thing you want is coming
careful
back.
go again,
I was just about to say.
That's what done it in the first place.
Exactly. Anyway, good luck to the Jags in the cup match tomorrow. Great to have Richard Foster with us. I call him his full mum and dad name, but obviously Tam, best friends with him, calls him Ricky or Fozzie, you name it. But he's got his full title off me. Great to have him on the show. Don't forget, you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications of the programme. I must say, well done to Andrew Scott, who came down to our little night out at Social Recluse in King Street in Glasgow last night. He was a competition winner, came with his dad, walked away with a prize as well, Ruffy. And as a Dundee fan, I think he was gutted that he didn't see Charlie on the night, but obviously the buses they didn't have the timetable, Charlie, so basically he missed out. So we must get Charlie to sign something for Andrew and send it up to him.
Yeah, the two guys really enjoyed themselves. Unfortunately, I think they sold the prize halfway up.
You're going to get battered, I'm telling you right now. Andrew, thanks for coming along with your dad. There's more competitions on the way coming up. We've got a great one-to-one coming up also for you after the Gordon Strachan one, which is still available to watch. You've got a special player that I'm going to be talking to next week as well. But on Monday, we'll be reflecting on the Scottish Cup fixtures and digesting any cup shocks that are there, any managers under pressure, and what you thought of your team involved in the Scottish Cup. Thanks to Richard, thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Tam, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.